Hey everybody, it's the Prez, Lawrence Presman, and I had the screens backwards, so people have been just looking at us for the last 18 seconds. I was supposed to have this screen, but instead I had it the wrong way. My bad. Nick Borrman, Carmine Bianco, Kevin Dolan, and yes, I wasn't supposed to be hosting, but Carm, tell them what happened. You called, you begged, I charged you.
Yeah, probably didn't go down that way, but I've got a lot of projects on the go right now, and putting aside a lot of time for a show prep didn't really work. So Prez stepped in, took over, and I wanted to make sure that I got in with the boys because we got the Irishman on here, right? So I want to be on the same show as the Irishman.
Robert De Niro right here.
Yes, Kevin Dolan, and we're going to have to put up with some Irish humor, so my apologies ahead of time to everyone. Kev, welcome to Stoppage Time. We do the show every Wednesday and Friday. We talk soccer. It's going to get exciting. We got some leagues coming back. We'll talk about that a little later. And we're going to pretty much rotate through. We'll likely have two guests on most of the time, but every now and again we will bring all three of you together. So thanks for joining us, my friend. Welcome to the show.
No problem. Excited.
Nick, tell everybody the truth. Karmas did plead with me to host the show, right? I mean, come on. Say it the way it is.
Well, I was told the opposite, but I don't want to get into the semantics here. It sounded like, Prez, you were calling Carmen saying, "Are you sure you want to do this? I think you need me." So I remember it a little differently, Prez, but I'm not here to start anything.
Okay, fair enough, fair enough.
And look at that face. That is the face of a man that you would vote for. So he is telling the truth. Come on.
Andrew McGinnis with us. Hey, Laguina, how are you? Happy Friday to you too, my friend. Guys, let's get straight into it. I want to discuss the South Korean Soccer League. Kevin, we're going to go to you first. You actually lived in South Korea. You have the pleasure of marrying a South Korean. Tell us about...
Pleasure. It depends on what day of the week you're talking about, but I better be quiet. She's right outside the door, so I'll keep that down. Yeah, I lived in South Korea for 10 years, Seoul. Fantastic city for all that. And actually, what we're going to talk about today is I literally lived 10 minutes away from FC Seoul's home ground in Mapogu, World Cup Stadium, which opened up the 2002 World Cup and stuff like that. So, yeah, plenty of experience viewing the soccer games out there. Didn't really get involved in the betting markets out there because mainly betting's illegal in South Korea, so again, it was on the lowdown with that. But yeah, it's an entertaining league if you get into it for sure.
Yeah. So look, I mean, obviously, Carm, myself, Nick, we bet soccer. We know soccer. Carm and Nick are experts in soccer. Nick, where are you at with the South Korean Soccer League? I mean, are you have you been studying it? Do you know how to attack this league?
I spent some time after our last show on Wednesday, just getting into, some surface level information on the league. So as I mentioned then, I was going to kind of take it slow,
Yep.
Let a couple of weeks go by, try to get a read on the teams. I did have a play on the opening game today, which was a half winner this morning. So that was nice. And the only other play I made so far is just following Carm's recommendation of his free play that he had given out on Wednesday. So other than that, I think I'm going to sit on the sidelines this week. There's a lot in Belarus I like, and I'm just kind of getting mentally ready for Germany coming back next week. So South Korea, like I said, just kind of wait and see approach for me, but little action here and there as we go.
Carm, for our listeners, where does the South Korean Soccer League sort of sit on the world stage? I mean, is it comparable to the Nicaragua, Belarus, or is it somewhere between Germany and the MLS? Where does it compare?
Yeah, it's better than Nicaragua. I don't think it comes close to. It's never going to come close to any of the European ones whatsoever. MLS is probably still better than South Korea, I would think. Some might beg to differ, but I really don't know. If I had to put it as far as looking at, let's say, like the EPL, the Championship, and then League One, and then League Two in England, I would venture a guess that it's somewhere around League Two, so about 3 tiers below EPL. That opening game today that Nick had a winner on, they piped in live crowd noises to make it sound a little bit better. So I think it's something you might see other teams do. So it's still something that it's going to fill some time until I'd say the first week of June comes and all the leagues restart, and then I think all of our focus completely shifts over to the top 4 leagues in Europe.
Guys, welcome to the show. Elliot, nice to see you. David Chan, always a pleasure having you with us. Degeneration Nation, he wants us to talk UFC, and you know what, Degeneration Nation? I got Kevin Dolan on the show. He knows his stuff in that sport. So do I. I promise you at the end of the show, we're going to do a little bit of UFC because it is really the thing to talk about right now, given that it starts tomorrow night. And Carm, I'm actually going to rent the fights tomorrow night. The fight card is absolutely spectacular. And what I really like about it is, and we'll talk about this later, Kev, is it's just action-packed. I mean, it's the right weights, you know. That Tony Ferguson fight has the potential to be one of the best. It's going to be absolutely nonstop. Kev, let's go to the South Korean League for some free picks from you. Any games that you have circled for this weekend?
Not individual games, no, but I'm happy to give out a free pick actually on the outright market going forward in the season, because I'm not sure whether people understand how South Korean soccer works. So basically, these clubs aren't independent entities. These clubs it's like the R&D department of a major corporation. You know, so they're called like Korean chaebols, your Samsung, LG. And what they do is they use sport as a kind of offshoot to their company. You know, it's like a side hobby to them. So generally the bigger companies and how passionate they are about soccer, they're going to be the more successful teams. Now we have Jeonbuk, who actually won. They started off the season with that 1-0 that Nick was talking about. They've won 5 of the last 6 seasons. That's because they're backed by Hyundai Motors. Right. Like obviously we all seen Hyundai cars on the street. Their biggest rivals going into this season is Ulsan. Now, Jeonbuk's going off at a plus 120 for the season. That's incredibly short, but when you consider that they've won 5 of the last 6 seasons, understandable. Their main rivals last year, Ulsan, going into this year, they're also owned by Hyundai, so you're going to see that on the shirts. So you're going to be wondering, what's the difference here? But Ulsan or Hyundai, they build the ships. So even though, yes, they're a big company, they don't have the same firepower, the same money as Jeonbuk do. I'll still like Ulsan at a plus 250. I think that's semi-decent value to upset Jeonbuk. At the end of last season, Ulsan were actually 3 points clear at the top of the table. Last game of the season, all they had to do was draw at home to get a point. They lost 4-1 at home to the Pohang Steelers. Not the Pittsburgh Steelers, the Pohang Steelers. They couldn't. Pohang has been a decent team over the season, so I don't want to give them too much stick. But yeah, they couldn't even hang on for a point. So they've had months and months to dwell on this, sitting, you know, like how they blew an entire season in the last game. The biggest transfer of this year's market has came. They've took over a player from the Bundesliga. Wait 1 second. Chung Yong Lee. Okay, Chung Yong Lee. I have to be careful when I pronounce the Korean names. So he's coming over from the Bundesliga, but that's Bundesliga level too. But he's had Premiership experience. He was at Crystal Palace for a couple of seasons. Bolton before that. He's the biggest transfer name. He's went to Ulsan. The owner of Ulsan seems intent. The owner of Jeonbuk and the owner of Ulsan are first cousins. So this shows you they're so competitive in Korea. This is basically 2 cousins with millions of dollars going head to head. I think the values with Ulsan, honestly, at plus 250 because he's so intent on winning this season. He's pumping the money in. And it'll be interesting. I definitely wouldn't take Jeonbuk at plus 120.
Nick, Carm, I'm just going to stay with Kevin for a sec here. But if you guys want to jump in, please feel free. Kev, we spoke at the top of the show that you lived in South Korea. And my question to you is that one, you know, moving forward, and especially with Bundes starting and, you know, hopefully a lot of the leagues coming into action and next year, the year after, you know, et cetera, do you bet a lot of the South Korean league? Is that one of the leagues that you're best at because of the proximity of your life to them?
No, I mean, to be honest with you, I used to go as a fan. I used to have, there was a lot of us friends out there. I used to support FC Seoul because of my proximity to the stadium. I had other friends who supported Suwon Blue Wings. It used to be just a bit of a laugh, to be honest. I mean, you got to remember, like this time of the year, I would be, knee deep in baseball, knee deep in, you'd be approaching the NBA playoffs and NHL playoffs. So I never really bet the games. But obviously, being out there for so long, I would see the news, I'd read the reports, and the different corporations, going at it and stuff. So, outright market, I've bet that in the past, and I would bet A's in Champions League, but never the individual like week to week games in the K League because I never had the time. Like this.
3 of the best soccer experts in the world in the Prez. That's what the show should be called. Every Wednesday and Friday, stoppage time. Carm, we have the Rock, Paper, and Scissors Grand Championship today. Do you want to talk about that?
Yeah. First, before it slips my mind, because that does happen, to Kevin's point, because I did mention it on Wednesday's show, I think that price on Ulsan is very good, plus 250. Sometimes when something happens to a team, as he mentioned in the previous season, it motivates them the following year. And they have picked up some players. They also picked up, if I pronounce his name right, but this one should be an easy one, a forward, Bjorn Johnson, as well too.
Sounds pretty straightforward there, Carm.
It is. It's a lot easier than Lee Chung Young. So, but it's there's also another goalkeeper as well too. And they were my free play for Saturday. You have to lay 3/4 of a goal. But they're playing as historically against the team they're playing against. They're 18 wins, 6 draws, 3 losses at home against Sanju, who maybe Kevin can tell us. I think they're called the Army Men, aren't they? Aren't they the Army team or something?
You know what, Carm? I'm not even sure, to be honest. I used to go to FC Seoul games and Suwon Blue Wing games, and that was it. Like, even the Pohang Steelers I never touched. So.
And you got to remember, Carm, Kevin is Irish, so he might have physically been at those soccer games, but the chances of mentally being there was slim.
A lot of the games were on a Sunday as well, which never helped.
Yeah.
After
he got there and knew he was at a soccer game. By the time he got home, he forgot he went to the damn soccer game.
He might not even know he's on this show at the moment. Who knows? I'm not sure what time he started drinking.
Very good point.
For the last couple of years, I'm all right now. Those days are behind me.
I think Kevin and I prepared for this show differently. I think he dropped some Guinness and I rode 10 miles. Where are you at? Which way would you have gone?
I would have gotten a quick 18 holes before coming out here, but the weather sucks today, so I'm just sitting inside.
Okay, brother. Well, that sounds good. Are you going to be betting on this Tom Brady, Peyton Manning game?
But 4:00 today, rock, paper, scissors.
Yes.
It's East Coast meets West Coast. We've run these videos. We started with 16. We're down to the final 2. Kelly on the West Coast side, she knocked me off in the Final 4 semifinals. And on the East Coast side, Johnny Detroit. And he put an absolute beatdown on the Prez in the Final 4 on the other side.
It was a sweep.
So, and I have I posted an image of it on Twitter. The winner will get an actual championship belt, like the wrestlers have and the boxers have, and it'll be sent to their houses within a week with the Wagertalk logo on it and their name engraved, and they'll get to hold on to it until next summer, when every employee of Wagertalk and Sports Memo compete for the second annual RPS championship.
Yeah, well, David Chan would lay 200 on Kelly, and I think Elliot is cheering for Johnny Detroit. It will be fun. What time will it be? It's going to be a live show.
Live show at 4:00 today.
Well, I will obviously be here because you'll be using my system. Nick Borrman, let's talk Belarus Soccer League. What do you got for us, my friend?
Well, I had a good morning this morning. Had a outright outright winner on Energetic, catching a quarter of a goal this morning, and they were able to win 2-1. So I'm happy to report that for the day. This weekend, I do like a lot of the games coming in. One we have on Sunday, I mentioned on Wednesday as well, is Belshina at Isloch Minsk. Isloch right now currently in 5th position in the table, right where they ended last year against Belshina, who's a promoted side, and right now they are struggling. They have not won a game in 7 matches. They have 2 draws, 5 losses, and they've scored just 5 goals so far in those 7 games. They really look like they're just not going to be able to hang at this level, probably likely to be relegated again back down, and they're traveling to Isloch Minsk, which Minsk so far overall they're 4-0-3. They own a -2 differential, but they had a 4-0 defeat last week to Shakhtar, so that's kind of hurt their differential. But this is a pretty simple play on just a better team at home. We're not laying a full goal here. It's at -3/4 of a goal, split line -0.5, -1. So I think there's decent value in the home side in this one. And again, I just don't think Belshina is going to be able to compete both in this game and the rest of the season really in the league. I think they'll be struggling much of this year. So pretty simple one here, but I like Isloch Minsk Sunday morning to get a winner for us.
And you've been doing really well in the Belarus Soccer League. Last we spoke, you were really seeing it well. Still in the zone?
Yeah, like I said, I had a winner this morning. I don't know what it is. I just, maybe it's the talent level is lesser and it's more predictable. I'm not really sure. Right now, it's just it's a short-term streak. I can't say a lot about the results other than it's been good. We'll see as Germany starts next week. I'm going to plan on continuing to play the league for now, unless something changes and I start to go on a downward trend. I'll probably continue to dabble even as all the European leagues come back in. Like I said, as long as there's money to be made, why not?
Absolutely. Kev, what do you know about the Belarus Soccer League? Are you betting it? Do you have any free picks for us?
Oh yeah, I've been betting it for the last number of weeks. We had a great week last week. Went 3-1 on premium plays. So yeah, I'm the same as Nick now. I love Belarus. I don't care if Germany comes back and Italy comes back. I'm staying faithful to Belarus now because I've got so invested in the league that it'll be hard to give it up even when normal sports resume. So I'm definitely going to keep it around. I like Nick's play a lot. I think people are going to look at last week's scoreline, the 4-0 thrashing that they got, and assume. But a lot of those goals came late on in that game, and plus they got outshot and stuff like that. So if you dig a bit deeper into the numbers, it's definitely a good play. Our main play, we have a 4% play. It's actually my second highest rated play of the entire season to date. That's going to be on the Slavia Mozyr Torpedo Zhodino game. So that's going off on Saturday, I believe. And apart from that, Nick's covered one of the games that I like as well. The only other game free play that we have a free play up actually on Wagertalk as well. That's going to be on the draw. Just get my notes here. So yeah, the free play is actually on the write-ups on Wagertalk as it is now. Rook Brest at Nîmes and Grodno. I like the outright draw plus 210 on that game. Both teams combined for 5 draws already over the last 10 games combined. The goal line set at a really low 2 goals, and it's juiced to -130. So the bookmakers are already telling you in that game that there's not going to be a lot of action, not going to be a lot of goals. Rook Brest have the lowest goals scored and allowed across any team in Belarus this season. And Nîmes and Grodno are unbeaten at home this season and have allowed just 1 goal on home soil. So look, there's not going to be a lot of goals, but I can't justify playing the under when it's only 2 and it's juiced at that. So I just like the outright draw. You're getting plus 210 on that. And again, that's probably the second or this the third best bet, obviously, because I have 2 plays already posted up at Wagertalk. But I like that play. That's a 2% play for me.
And Carm, I want to talk about that for a sec. Let me just say hi to Abel. Abel, welcome to the show, brother. We love having you. Congratulations on hitting your early Belarusian soccer game. Carm, a lot of guys here are new to betting soccer. One of the points Nick just made is he likes the tie, and he sort of links the thought process to the fact that the total is at 2. Are you looking at stuff like that when betting?
Most definitely. I think a lot of the times, and it's to the point of what the guys talk about is you just can't open up and look at the standings, look at the lines, and make a play. You're more times than not you're going to get killed on this. Research is your friend. Dig a little deeper into the lines. You can look at a game where a team is. There is some correlation between the side and total, where you see a team is favored by 1.5, but the total is at like a split line of 2.5. I would never lay the 1.5 because the odds makers are literally telling you at the same time as they're expecting this to be a lower scoring game. Now that team could win 2-0 and it stays under, or a half of it stays under, the other half pushes, and you win on that. But you've got to look at some of these lines with correlation to the totals. And when you see totals at 2s, and in Belarus early on, a lot of the totals were 2. I used to make a ton of money in League 2 in France because the totals were 2.5, and I would literally just bet the whole card under, because it was the way the season went, and there was a lot of 0-0. 1-0 score lines or 2-0 score lines, and these tickets were cashing, and eventually the scoring comes, and this is where you sort of back off a bit. I think the scorings finally start to come. I mean, and Nick and Kevin can attest to this because they follow the Belarus one, where I don't really, but it seems like the scoring has started to finally show up in that league. So you've got to dig in deep. You've got to look at the numbers. Look at the totals. Totals can sometimes give you an indication of if you're seeing a 2 with a minus 130 on the under, they're looking for a low-scoring game. So this could easily be one of those 0-0 or 1-1 type games. So, and if you're getting a decent price on the draw, I would take it.
He's Carmine Bianco, Wagertalk.com, Kevin Dolan, Wagertalk.com, and Nick Borrman. You can find him at Sports Memo. This is Stoppage Time every Wednesday and Friday, 1 p.m. Eastern. Guys, we will talk a little UFC at the end of the show. Just a quick reminder, Pony Pundits, our horse racing show, starts at 3 p.m. Eastern today. Marco and Sig take apart a whole lot of horse racing tracks. I know nothing about that sport, but I wouldn't want to be the horse. And Monday, put this in your calendar, everybody. Teddy Covers will be interviewing me on Meet the Experts on Monday. That show, I'll go out on a limb and say it's going to be the funnest, there's a made-up word, the funnest show we've done since COVID joined us. Make sure to check that out. Teddy Covers will be interviewing me, and Carmine will make a guest appearance on that show as well. That is going to be a free-for-all. We tape at 3 p.m. Eastern on Monday.
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but whoever loads that video on, sometimes when we load these videos in the back end on YouTube, it goes through asking if there's any foul language or anything. So it can set the video, not safe for children, let's say, or what have you. This video on Monday is definitely one of those not safe for work type videos. I have to believe Teddy's going to be fired up, and the Prez doesn't back down. So what do you have when this isn't rock meets paper? This is rock meets rock, and they're going to go at it.
No, dude, I'm just gonna answer his questions calmly. Maybe do a little flex or two.
Yeah. All right.
But Teddy says he's not holding back. Let's talk Nicaraguan soccer. We've been discussing it for a month now. I'm not going to do any great intro. Nick, free pick. Carm, free pick. Kevin, your thoughts. Nick, you first.
Sad to see the league end, but
it's
the best
gut-wrenching
team all
for
year
me.
has been Managua. They go into this one 1-1, so they actually lead because they scored an away goal in that first leg. So they don't need a score, but Estelí does. I think we're going to see some pushing forward from Estelí because of that, and then that leaves the counter there on the available for Managua to strike back with, and then of course that makes Estelí push more, assuming Managua does strike. So both teams, I think, will be scoring in this one. And at worst, right now the total's at 2. So I think at worst we're looking at a push. So I really like the over in this game. It's juiced to the over. It's minus 125, minus 130. Next tick, as Carm likes to always say, is going to go up to that 2.25 line, that split line. So if you can grab the 2, take over right now. I think we're going to see some goals in this one, and I'm excited to watch the game, but sad to see it end. So tune in on Saturday night. I think it's at 9 o'clock, Carm. Is that correct?
Yeah, 9 p.m. on Saturday.
Right in time for the UFC fight. Carm, what do you like?
Yeah, I'm the same thing. I think we're going to see some goals here. The sort of the lines across any of the books that are offering this game. If you look at sort of like correct score odds, obviously the lowest ones are ones that sort of tend to lean towards the under. Managua to win 1-0 or plus 500. Real Estelí to win 1-0 or plus 750. The draw 0-0 is plus 550. 1-1 is plus 600. And then one that I kind of like is the Managua to win 2-1, and that's plus 1,000. So basically, 10 your money.
That sounds good.
As a prop type wager, so I'm going to take that one at 10-1, and look for Managua to win this one, and close it out, win the championship. 2-1.
Have any quick thoughts on the Nicaraguan Soccer League?
None.
Okay, move on.
I don't cheat on Belarus. Belarus is my only soccer.
Don't give out info you don't know. That's my job, right, Carm?
All good.
Okay, Germany. We're going to do a show on Wednesday. We're going to talk Bunda. Carm, give everyone a breakdown on what they're going to hear on Wednesday. Then we're going to talk a little bit of UFC and get out of here.
Yeah, we're definitely looking forward to it. So the restart to the Bundesliga, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. There's a game on Monday. So we got 3 days where we can give you guys some plays, but 3 games where you can see games on TV from a top league in Europe. It's a restart. Obviously, the games will be played in empty stadiums. I discussed on Twitter with some people, when you look at these games, and we're going to break this down on Wednesday, but and maybe we'll leave that to Wednesday. The best way to handicap these games, Nick and I will tell you with empty stadiums and what to look for. But we're definitely looking forward to it. I've got a card ready, which will be up on Wagertalk soon. And I've got one game that I really like on Saturday, so that may go up. It's at least a 4%. It may go up as a 5% play.
So what we'll do on Wednesday will just be the three of us, Nick, Carmine, and myself. And then for Fridays, Kev, let's bring you in on our Friday show. So we'll go with the three of you and myself on Fridays, and Nick, Carm, you and I will do Wednesdays together. Kev, you are a boxing betting machine. You know the UFC. Look, I've got a strong opinion on the UFC from a value perspective. I'm going to be renting the fight. I've studied the whole card. I mean, I just from top to bottom, before we get into the bets, I don't think I've seen a card that has so much potential action than this one in a long while.
Yeah, it's definitely stacked. And I mean, just to your point about boxing, that's obviously my number one. I was very lucky. We were talking about my time in Korea just a while ago there. I didn't really, I obviously went to see the soccer games, but one of the best contacts I made during my entire time there was Korean Zombies gym down in Gangnam. I got to know some of the fighters, so they supply me. I don't even have to handicap UFC that well. They supply me with their picks, and they've been just red hot because obviously they study a lot of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. These are actual fighters in the gym, so I get all my information off there. They've already given me picks for this card, which I've bet, and I'm probably going to transfer them over to Wagertalk just in terms of my own plays. But I'm happy to give them out on the show right now. In terms of handicapping, though, itself, I'm the boxing guy. UFC. I'm going to leave that up to Kyle.
Kyle and Gianni.
If I can run through the picks right now.
Brother, give out a couple. Listen, let me give out my thoughts right off the bat, and I'm only going to talk about the main event. One thing interesting about Tony Ferguson is, the guy just had no defense for the first sort of, 6 or 7 title defenses. Now he's changed the last 4 or 5 fights. He's been fighting a little bit more conservatively. But with that said, every great champion's time comes to an end. And I think the G-Man is going to knock him out at plus 200. That is my biggest bet on this card. I think Gaethje is just an absolute animal. And he actually reminds me of Tony Ferguson when he won the title belt a few years ago. So that's where I'm going. Gaethje at plus 200 on the knockout. Kev, you give us what you want.
Well, I'll just say now they're going the other side of you. They like
that's
Tony
okay,
Ferguson,
bro.
The breakdown that I received off them was saying, yeah, Justin's tough, but Tony Ferguson has more ways to win. He's the more well-rounded fighter of the two. So, yeah, that's the play. I've already bet Tony Ferguson by KO. I can quickly go through the undercard.
Let's talk about the Pettis fight. It's interesting because these guys, neither of them have chins, but both of them have knockout power. I think this fight could end in the first round.
Yes, possibly.
Well, that's
Pettis, like Donald Cerrone, money line plus 125. I have a.
Oh, you like the Cowboy?
I like the. Well, again, I mean, like they like the Cowboy. I like the Cowboy. You know what I mean? So if they like the Cowboy, they love the plus 125 money line. Again, they say that he's going to bounce back from the McGregor loss. That he wasn't really the Cowboy in that fight, so to speak. So again, just saying more well-rounded. Pettis has been in some wars, right? So, he's probably going to show it. But again, it's just value plays. Dominic Cruz. You have a play on that?
No, but I like the guy, and I mean the thing with he's just had such an unlucky career. But if Dominique does win, I think a decision is probably the most likely result.
Yeah. Again, smaller play. Dominic Cruz money line plus 190. They just like the outright value, even though in the breakdown they sent me the ring rust might be a big issue in the fight, but still the value. Nagano Rosenstruck under 1.5. They love that play too. Minus 120. I have here listed. Kelvin Kattar by decision. That's a plus 130. Jacare Souza money line minus 125. Like that play. And then way down on the undercard, Nico Price money line plus 240. They said the number's just a bit off, even though they expect them to lose.
Email me those, please, my friend. I love the pluses all over the place. Nick, Nick, do you bet the UFC?
I do not. I definitely watch. The fights are always entertaining and good some action on Saturday. But I don't usually bet them. I don't know enough about the fighters themselves other than just pure entertainment. But I'll be tuning in. And Kevin, send me that list too.
Carm, you going to be watching betting?
Kevin. Send us that list. I'm going to be watching it. I'm going to obviously watch the final of the Nicaragua one. Now, Prez, you don't have to buy the UFC. I gave you my login that you can actually watch it for free. So
that thing has it?
Yes, it does. Absolutely.
Booyah!
Yeah, there you go. See, and if you have a Chromecast, which I think I set up for you as well, too.
Yeah, but I have it set up to the wrong TV. I'm going to call you tomorrow and try to figure that out.
You actually just unplug it and plug it into your other TV.
Okay, well, that seems pretty straightforward, and I'm not a techie guy. Guys, awesome show. Loved having all three of you with us today. We gave out some free picks all over the map. Nicaragua, Belarus, South Korea, a nice future bet from Kevin. A couple of future bets from Kevin and Carm. So if you're tuning in late, make sure to start the show at the beginning. Also, everyone, Dave, nice to see you. Andrew keeps asking me a question, Carm. Carm. Go ahead.
What happened was I had answered it, but that was at the same time where my Skype cut out. So
right.
I was talking. I didn't know you guys weren't hearing what I was saying, but Andrew was talking about the Premier League that had its first season here in Canada, the Canadian Premier League, and whether we want to watch some of the games live. York has a team close to me. There are a couple of them, but that are close by, so I wouldn't mind going to doing a show, and then I'll be catching some games live as well too.
Yeah, so Andrew, you set that up with Carm. You host that show. Boys, love doing this with you guys. It's a privilege to host this show. We'll be talking more soccer on Wednesday, 1 p.m. Eastern with Nick and Carmine. Make sure to check out Pony Pundits in an hour and a half, 3 p.m. Eastern. We are now streaming live on both Sports Memo and Wagertalk, so check that out. What is Dave? I am sorry for late, but are you betting on Germany? Yes, we're betting Germany. Bunda, check the Wednesday show. David will be going deep into that. And hey, Dorado, we're just about to end the show. Remember, we're pushing this hard. Monday, 3 p.m. Eastern. Put it in your calendar. Meet the experts. Teddy Covers will be interviewing me, a guest appearance from Carmine Bianco. I expect to see all of you people joining us. It'll be an awesome show. I'm the Prez. That's stoppage time for Friday.